Shemai! Welcome back to Play Opera. Well, I'm feeling fully rested after our week on the beach, and I think it's time to get our glad rags ready before we get whisked off to the ball, don't you? I borrowed this from Cinder's. She loves a crown, and I think I'm working the look, don't you? Still looking out for my Prince Charming. But never mind. Before we go dancing, we've just got time to meet one of our loyal Play Opera viewers. Hello there, Seb. I'm so glad to see you've got your cowboy hat on from last week. So you've been watching Play Opera right from the start. Can you tell me what's been your favourite episode so far?
My favourite episode is called The Wizard's Apprentice, and I like the episode because it just made me imagine about loads of workers. They had to slave away in front of their boss, and they just kept on messing up and messing up.
Having seen the orchestra perform, what instrument would you choose to play?
If I could play an instrument, then it would probably be the keyboard.
It was brilliant to meet one of our loyal viewers, but without further ado, it's time to hear the story of La Cenerentola. La Cenerentola is an Italian opera composed by Gioacchino Rossini and was first performed in Rome in 1817. It's based on the classic fairy tale, but with a few Rossini twists added in. It's one of 39 operas that he composed in his lifetime. This is inspired by the story Cinderella, but listen out, because Cenerentola isn't quite the same, so see if you can spot the differences. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in a land far, far away, there was a castle where two sisters lived with their father, Don Magnifico, and their poor stepsister, who they forced to wait on them hand and foot.
Disgusting.
Two of the sisters, Clorinda and Tisbe, ruled the roost. Their father gave them everything they wanted and more. But the other sister, Cenerentola, who's a bit like Cinderella, a bit, well, quite a lot actually, was forced to live down in the cellar with the mice. In the same land, far, far away, there also lived a prince, and some might say a very, very handsome prince called Don Ramiro, who was searching for a beautiful bride-to-be. For months, he searched for the most beautiful girl in all the land, but to no avail. So he decided to host a grand ball where all the single ladies, love that, were invited to attend. On hearing this news, Don Magnifico is over the moon. He needs either Clorinda or Tisbe to marry a wealthy man to secure the family fortune. Knowing nothing of princes and grand balls, Cenerentola is all alone in the world and tired from endless hours of housework. She sings songs to pass away the long hours working. One day, whilst toiling over her chores, she is disturbed by a loud knock at the door. It's a beggar. But you see, it's not really a beggar. It's in fact the prince's tutor, Alidoro, and he uses his disguise to see what Clorinda and Tisbe are really like. Basically, to check out whether they would be a good old match for Princey. Appalled that there is a beggar in the house, Clorinda and Tisbe try to order him away immediately. But Cenerentola is kind and generous and offers him food and water. But then, out of nowhere, the prince's knights arrive and announce that the prince's grand ball will be happening this following evening, and all the fair maidens in the land are to await His Majesty's arrival.
Love that.
Getting spruced up for the ball, the prince longs for a wife who is truly pure, truly good, and who truly loves him, and who cares nothing for wealth or a title. How will he find such a woman?
How indeed?
But lo, he has a cunning plan. He swaps clothes with his servant Dandini, and then he too visits Don Magnifico's castle in disguise. On arrival to the castle, he is greeted by Cenerentola, and the moment their eyes lock, they fall deeply, hopelessly in love. But hot on the footsteps of the prince is Dandini, who is dressed as the prince. He greets Don Magnifico and his daughters, Clorinda and Tisbe, and they all go out to impress the prince, who's not actually the prince, but Dandini dressed as the prince. Are you confused yet? I thought so. On the night of the ball, the two sisters ordered Cenerentola to make them look their absolute finest, with the biggest hair you can ever imagine, the reddest lipstick and the pinkest cheeks. Cenerentola combs and grooms, she rouges and paints, she squeezes them into the tightest of dresses and forces them into the highest of heels. And all the while, Cenerentola also longs to go to the ball, as she watches them leave in the golden carriage, alone again. She weeps. But just then, Alidoro, the prince's tutor, arrives back on the scene, and to thank her for her kindness, he invites her to the ball and presents her with the most gorgeous gown she's ever seen. She is transformed from maid to princess in the blink of an eye. Dressed in all the finery and very red lipstick, Clorinda and Tisbe enter at the ball and are on the charm offensive with Dandini, still dressed as our hero, the prince. Dandini arrives dressed as the prince and is singing in a cavalier way about how he's looking for the most beautiful girl to marry.
Va volando leggera e scherzosa, corre al giglio, poi salta alla rosa dolce, un fiore a cercare per sé. Fra le belle ma giro e rimiro, ne ho vedute già tante, poi tante, ma non trovo un giudizio, un un boccone squisito per me, un boccone squisito per me, un boccone squisito per me, un boccone squisito per me. Nulla, vezzosa, graziosa, dico bene, son tutte papà, ma finita la nostra commedia, che tragedia qui nasce dovrà. Ma finita la nostra commedia, che tragedia qui nasce dovrà. Ma finita la nostra commedia, che tragedia qui nasce dovrà. Ma finita la nostra commedia, che tragedia qui nasce dovrà. Ma finita la nostra commedia, che tragedia qui nasce dovrà. Che tragedia qui nasce dovrà.
mysterious lady enters the ball. It's Cenerentola, but of course, no one recognises her, transformed from her maid's rags into a beautiful princess. Although Clorinda and Tisbe can't help thinking they may have seen this beautiful lady somewhere before. She really does look strangely familiar. But as he catches sight of her, the prince, the real prince this time, falls in love all over again. Honestly, he does a lot of falling in love, this prince. Dandini tries to get Cenerentola's attention, but she admits that she is completely in love with his servant. She doesn't value riches, but favours goodness and love as well. The prince, still in disguise, overhears their conversation and tells Cenerentola that he too loves her. So she gives him one of her bracelets, telling him to come and find her tomorrow, and if he still loves her, she is destined to be his bride. Meanwhile, Don Magnifico has been thinking how much money he will have if one of his daughters marries a prince. He still thinks that Dandini is the prince and asks him which of his daughters he wants to marry. But when Dandini admits that he is in fact the prince's servant, Don Magnifico hits the roof. He is absolutely furious. At the stroke of midnight, Cenerentola arrives home and quickly changes into her maid's rags so no one will suspect where she has been. As the stepsisters return, a wild storm rages outside the castle. But despite the terrible storm, the prince is desperate to be reunited with Cenerentola, his love, and he sets out in his carriage to find her. Sizing up Don Magnifico's castle, the prince and Dandini storm in to find Cenerentola and her stepsisters. The prince shows everyone the bracelet Cenerentola gave him, confirming that she was the most beautiful woman at the ball and that they are head over heels in love with each other, a love that no one can thwart. Although her stepsisters protest, they cry, wail and stamp their feet and basically try everything in their power to stop them. The prince sweeps Cenerentola away, and so begins the most celebrated wedding in all the land, where Cenerentola and her handsome prince are finally united. Clorinda and Tisbe beg for forgiveness, which our heroine kindly grants them. And as with all good fairy tales, they all live happily ever after. That's all we've got time for today, and I'm afraid this week's episode is the season finale. We are going to be taking some time for a bit of a rest. But don't despair, there are some great La Cenerentola props that you can learn to make on this website. But don't be thinking we're going to have our feet up. We're going to spend this time cooking up some new ideas for the next time we're online. So don't go far, and we hope to see you very soon. Bye for now.